Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage. This is going to be another episode on 65 Mustang. So follow me along through the intro, and I'll be back. And alright guys, it has been a week since the clear coat and the stripes have been applied to the Mustang. So at this point, I'm ready to get this car ready to get the dash, the inside of the doors, and the rear interior metal pieces painted. So this video is going to be about that. So the car's cured out pretty good. Got some shrinkage in the clear coat, which I expected. That's why I've not color sand buffed it yet. But we need to get this stuff to be red. The dash, the inside of the doors, and our interior metal pieces. All this stuff needs to match. And since we got the urethane that matches the stripe color, that's what we're going to spray on it. And Daisy's down here on the floor doing her kitty cat things. And she would like to remind you to check out her shirts down in her shop below. And we also have hats and other things like that. So make sure you check that out. Just gets her extra treats and extra pets. And that's what makes her happy. So to start this party off, we need to get the outside of the car taped up. So a lot of taping to do. So might as well get started. So under the hood here, I still got all the holes in the firewall taped up. The only thing that's not sealed off is our master cylinder hole here, and I'm just gonna put a couple pieces of tape around our master cylinder push rod. And get that sealed off. Yep, there's going to be a lot of taping. Lots and lots and lots of taping. Been busy since the last clip. I'm not going to try to bore y'all with all the taping, but what I'm pretty much doing on the doors, I'm going down where the door rubber goes. I'm taping off a rough line. And what that's going to do is give me a natural break point for our two colors to meet. I bagged the outsides of the doors. I don't know if you can see right there. I taped along the edge there, and then I plastic bagged the door, wrapped it tight, rolled it up at the bottom and taped it to the bottom of the door, all the way up. And in the front, I done the same thing, except I used the bag portion of it to bag the jam. Obviously taped on both sides. Front of the car, I bagged it and just run the tape line all the way around the front of the fenders, all the way across the cowl, down the other side fenders. The roof, I just kind of bagged the roof. I plan to spray this stuff with my trim gun, so it's going to be low output, low overspray. But I want to make sure we don't have no overspray on the main body. Even though I'm color sanding buffed it, I don't want to have to sand overspray off. Because I plan just to go in here, touch the few little runny spots that we had, a few little sags, and then leave most of the material on the car as I can. So let's get back to taping. But first, what I'm going to show you, I'm sure you've probably seen it fast forward, I just run the tape down around the natural break point, all the way up. Bag the jam in there, run the tape down. Just kind of made natural points here. And anywhere in this jam, you can see inside that we had holes that would allow overspray inside. I taped it up. This is not the best quality tape, but it is pretty not sticky. So I will have to go around here and burnish these edges before I spray. But what that does is make sure we won't pull any clear coat off. The green tape up there is really, really sticky stuff. And considering paint's fresh, I don't want to put nothing super sticky up on it. But as long as we're careful, we shouldn't have any overspray issues. So I'm still got to do that door over there. And you can see that line up there where your door rubber sits. That's going to be our tape line. All the way down, all the way up the inside. And I'm going to do that side just like this one. I'm going to bag the rear half of the car back here like I did the front. And we should be getting pretty close to spraying some red. Alright, it's a little while later. I've got everything taped up now. Everything's taped up and prepped. So what I need to do, I need to get this garage shut up. And we'll start mixing some paint and start spraying some paint. So let's get to it. fighting paint gun issues. Yeah, respirator, you know, don't do a good job of sealing off either. This is supposed to be flat. It don't look flat. It's tacked out, and it's not flat. So I'm waiting a little extra long because the last coat I put on was pretty heavy. This is 2 heavy coats. So I put one tack down just to make sure we didn't have no reaction issues like we had before. And then I put down 1 heavy coat after that. So that's where we're at right now. I'll flip it around, I'll show it to you. And the flat red isn't covering nowhere near as good as the base coat red did. So yeah. So for flat, it's awful shiny. Yeah, I know, I missed a little spot there on the bottom door. I had planned to shoot this with my trim gun, and then it was too thick to, you know, spray through it. So I switched to the big gun, but I went ahead and trimmed it out with the little one the best I could around things, tried to get some coverage. These pieces look pretty decent. There wasn't a whole lot to cover up on them, but like I said, it's pretty glossy to be flat. It's a little while later. It's probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half since I sprayed paint. I'm still wondering if I read flats wrong here. You can see it says flats. Yeah, it says it all over it. Flat. You know, this is supposed to be flat. I know I still got red paint here, but it's not really flat. What I sprayed black under the hood's flat. That was a different paint brand. It is flat to a satin, which is acceptable. I really wanted to do stuff, interior stuff in a flat. That way there was no reflections that could possibly blind you, especially on sunny days. That's always a concern when doing interior stuff. But I'm going to say it's more of a semi-gloss. So I'll flip it around and I'll show you what I got going on. So this is what I consider flat. There's no sheen here, just that has got a sheen to it. See it at the top of the doors. It's got a sheen. It's not, it's not wet. So it's definitely a lot shinier than I ever wanted to anticipate it being. But the stuff is red. I got the steering wheel up there and the dash grill. But get a little overspray here, but our wind lace cover that and pick panels and stuff. But it's just a little shinier than I ever wanted it to be. But I guess it's going to have to work. Maybe it'll flatten on out overnight, but it's definitely way more shiny than I want it to be for dash and interior doors. And I know it'll dull out over time, but right now it's just a little shinier than I'd like it to be. Well, it's the next day and I've been busy. The paint cured out to almost satin finish, and I know I still got red paint there, it still ain't come on. So I'll flip around and show it to you. So we didn't quite achieve the flat finish I was shooting for, but we're a satin finish, which is better than flat, I guess. It more matches vinyl. So I stuck the steering wheel back on there this morning. Got all the other stuff kind of looked over. It's still got this a little more sheen than I would personally like, but it should weather a little bit over time. Come in here this morning, I got the trunk taped up. We're going to bed line the bottom of this trunk today. That way we can be totally done with all the painting stuff. So what we're going to use, I got this Raptor. This is black. Raptor bed liner. This is a 2K. You have to activate it. If you use this stuff for this application, once you pop the bottom of that can, you got to use it all at the same time. You know, within a few hours. Because it will harden inside the can. Because this is an activated product and not a 1K stuff like the Rust-Oleum or Duplicolor or Herculiner garbage that you buy at the parts store. You can get this at the parts store also. This is a lot better stuff, but it's also $50 a can, which is quite ridiculous. If you search online, you can find this stuff for like $36. But I had to get that at the local parts store, and even on the by commercial account, it's still quite high. So I got the car taped up back here. I'm gonna run over it with a Scotch-Brite pad to rough the surface up a little bit, blow it out, and then we'll start spraying. So I got the trunk scuffed down, I got the trunk blown out, I got the trunk wiped down and degreased. So now we're ready to get the bed liner activated. Then we'll have to shake it for 2 minutes and then we start spraying. Alright, when you get this bed liner right here, it's going to have a little red piece up here on top of the cap. It's going to be right here. It goes on this little tab. What you do, leave the cap on this. You'll go in there and you'll push that red tab down until it pops. And what that does, that pierces a little bubble in here that lets the activator loose into the bed liner. So you can remove that. You're going to take this and you're going to shake it for 2 minutes. And once your 2 minutes are up, you're ready to spray. You want to keep this stuff about 24 to 36 inches away from the surface, and that's what gives it texture. If you notice, I didn't tape up the trunk hinges, and there's a reason for that. Since I'm going with an opposing color here, I want it to kind of appear factory, so to say. And what that means is we're going to have a little overspray on to the trunk hinge bracket itself. So with this, I want to go in here and address the areas that are hard to get to first. That way I don't paint myself into an area that, you know, I can't access. So what that's going to mean, I'm going to go in here inside the trunk drops first. I will do the taillight panel. I'll do the outer wheel houses before I move to the inner stuff. And the can will go fast. You're just shooting for color coverage. Unless you're trying to hide stuff. And then you would put multiple coats on it. So 1 can, done the inside of the quarters. all the way up the wheelhouses and the very bottom, as you've seen. I hope I can stretch the other can to finish it off, but I'll flip around and show you where I'm at right now. So as you can see, one can gives you pretty decent coverage. One coat. So it's got good coverage. It'll give us a nice uniform texture. And it'll black it out where our paint let us down. We just didn't have enough to spray the inside of the trunk. So I got our other can ready sitting right there. So let me get to spraying. It's a little while later, I ordered some more, so there was a couple of spots that I wanted to put a little bit more on. So let me get this other can ready and get this sprayed, and then I'll come back here in a little while. I'm going to show you a trick, because we're not just going to leave this black. I'll show you a trick to make it look more like a trunk splatter paint. All right, I uncovered this where I can spray this area right here that you can see kind of down behind the back seat where the shocks are. Also went in there and sprayed the inside of the quarters on this second coat. Just trying to use the rest of that can up. I come in here and sprayed the under seat area. Since these cars are notorious for leaking water anyway, it's just an extra layer of protection over what we'd covered the floors with before. It's all oversprayed now. But it won't hurt anything. And in here, we finally got good coverage everywhere we need it. I'm going to let this cure out about an hour, and then we'll come back in here. And what I'm going to do, we're going to dust it with a little bit of the Wimbledon white. The extra I got, I'm just going to dust it a little bit, and it'll give it kind of that trunk coating look, kind of the splattery look. Just going to come in here and just lightly dust with my paint gun, with the fluid turned all the way down, the fan all the way wide. It just gives us some little speckles in here, and it'll lighten this up just a little bit, and should turn out to be a nice finished product. Alternately, I could just leave it black like it is, and we could run with it. But so far, it's looking pretty good. I'm probably going to push it back out here in the sun, let it dry for, like I said, about an hour. And I'll come back, and we'll see if we can't lighten it up just a little bit. The black is a huge contrast in comparison to the white, which I expected. I knew it was going to be. But the reason why I done it this way, it's going to help seal off any rust, any maybe pinholes in the seam sealer that were there. It'll help seal that. And he can actually use the trunk as a trunk and not worry about something scratching or chipping things off. So it is a little expensive to do it this way with spray cans. I ended up using 4 cans total, so about $200. You can buy a kit to spray a Bedliner from the same company, from Raptor. You get 3 quarts and a spray gun, and you could have sprayed it that way and probably been done with 1 coat. But I was trying to minimize any kind of overspray or anything on cars, so here's where we are. Best way I can explain this is fans all the way open. I run the fluid halfway in. We only have about 5 pounds of spraying pressure. And what that does, I don't know if you hear that gun spit, but when you barely pull this trigger, it literally puts out a splatter, like a splatter paint. And you'll do this from about 12 inches away. As you can see, it gives you a consistent splatter. And it's up to you how much you do it or how little you do it. You kind of get the look you want. So like me, I just kind of use it to lighten it up a little bit back here, make it look more 60s appropriate. And it's not going to wash off like those trunk paints you get, because I just mixed up just a touch, and I mean like 1/8 of a cup of the Wimbledon white urethane. I didn't reduce it. Spraying it mega low pressure gives you those little splatters. So I'm gonna go back in here and make sure I didn't miss any places, and then I'll be back and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. All right, I got the car untaped. As you can see, we almost got a factory style finish. You just have to go slow, guys, and really kind of pay attention to what you got going on, but you're going to end up with something with a little bit of texture, a little bit of splatter. Like I said, 90% of this is covered by trunk mat, and your fuel tank goes in here. So pretty much all you see. It's going to be a little bit up there at the front, your wheel houses, and the inside of the quarter panels. So I just thought I'd show you a trick. I've done this way for a long time. You can do it with spray cans also this way. You just have to be really careful and really slow. But I think it turned out pretty well. So hopefully somebody learned something in this video that they didn't know, or maybe a trick here. The trick with the trunk splatter is more helpful on GM cars. Ford really didn't do anything like that on theirs. It would have been body color inside the trunk. I just didn't have enough of paint material left over to actually paint the inside the trunk where it was right. I had pretty decent coverage on the wheel houses. I just wasn't real happy with how they looked. So this was the next option, was to bedline the trunk, kind of do a light splatter, and it'll help make it look clean. So, and also told y'all I'd push this car out in the sun. So this is going to be the video when that's in too. So I'll do a little walk around and then I'll be back. So, get the car out in the sun, push it out here to let it kind of cure out. Red really glows out here in the sun. Trunk, you can see a little better out here in natural light. We got a good straight reflection, the rest of it block out. There's a little spot here in this dash right in here, but it's good enough for what we're doing. I think it turned out pretty good. Like I said, it still needs to be color sanded and buffed, but compared to what it looked like before, it's a totally different car. So guys, it's been quite a project up to this point, but at this point all the paint stuff's done. Other than maybe some little small trim pieces here or there. At this point, the car's ready to have the headliner put back in it. It's ready to have a wiring harness put back in it. It's ready for the door rubbers and all that stuff and get the glass back in the car. Unfortunately, I was informed today that he may need to take a couple month break from the car. It is quite the financial strain. So if there's ways that you can help out, it would greatly be appreciated. Just buy a shirt or hat if you're interested in that stuff, or you know, if you want to become a member of the channel, it does help out. So I'm not going to really preach about that too much, but if you do want to help him out in this project, there is ways you can do it, and that's ways you can do it. Also, another easy way to help out, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, like these videos, and comment down below. It helps YouTube pick this stuff up for algorithm, and it helps me help him out that way also. The guys that do subscribe, I greatly appreciate you guys. I look forward to your comments down below. So until the next video, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Hopefully it won't be too long.